Hi there, I'm Farnoosh Brock. Welcome to my experience on Whole30. I'm going to share with you on this video my experience on Whole30 for the first time. My husband and I did it together, and I'm going to give you as many tips, as many resources as I possibly can. I'm going to try to stay organized. I have a lot of notes that I'm going to refer to, but it's not going to be structured like a book. So let's just dive right in. First things first, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I'm still trying to figure out why I loved it so much. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I have always been passionate about health. I didn't know as much about it as, of course, now, but I've always been really taking good care of myself, really eating well, staying fit. So going on yet another diet was just part of the experience. My husband and I have tried Weight Watchers, Paleo, Atkins, where he lost a lot of weight. That was the start of his journey. Over the last decade, he has lost about 100 pounds and managed to keep it off. So I'm really proud of him. And then what else did we try? So maybe some modified versions here and there. There was the slow carb diet, what have you. And every diet has served its purpose. Paleo is as close as it gets to Whole30. And yet we didn't have the best experience. And we tried to look back and see why that was. And there is a big psychological difference between Whole30 and Paleo. In that Whole30, you start off for 30 days. You may certainly continue as we are. Today is day 32, and we have no intention of stopping because of our great experience. But Paleo, when we started it, it was indefinite. And that may have been one of the reasons we didn't really feel like we could get on board. Like psychologically, you can tell yourself, I'm doing something for 30 days. And then let your experience decide where to take you afterwards. But if it's about food, which is very emotional, and giving up certain foods that we all love, then making it in a finite time is much easier for the brain. And perhaps that's why we loved Whole30 so much over Paleo. The other reason, I think, is that we were making Paleo way too complicated. We were making a lot of complicated recipes from some of the recipe books we had purchased, and we were also trying to do something else that you're not supposed to do on Whole30, and that is to make the fake food version of the real food. So for instance, we were making fake pancakes with sweet potatoes, I think, and fake desserts, or not fake desserts, just desserts with all the compliant ingredients on Paleo, and we were working very hard. But on Whole30, we weren't doing that. We were making really practical, delicious foods at home, and we were not doing fake versions of any food, because that's one of the things that the author Melissa talks about. Don't do that, right? You're just gonna eat the foods that you're gonna eat, and eliminating dessert. So that was one of the challenges. I like a little sweet something after I eat, and she talks about the sugar dragon, as you may know, and how you want to eliminate that habit. Now, my sweet thing is nothing outrageous, a couple of figs or a couple of dates, which are compliant, perfectly compliant on Whole30. But the idea of not having them immediately after finishing a meal was the difficult part. So after finishing a meal, I usually like my hot cup of tea and, oh my God, a couple of figs with that. I mean, I'm in heaven. So that was something I had to really watch. Now, a couple of hours later, if you want to snack on a fig and maybe a piece of apple, that should be okay. So eliminating the poor habits, or rather the emotional habits attached to food, was one of the main benefits for me, because I think it's important that we don't use food for emotional purposes. At least it's a good challenge to be able to say, look, I'm not attached to food. I'm not going to eat when I'm sad or bored, what have you. So that was really good. Now, back to the overall experience. We absolutely loved it. What did we do? We stayed home and prepared all of our meals. I think we went to visit my parents once and they knew about our diet, so we were compliant there, but we didn't eat out. We didn't want to make it more complicated. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't. It just means maybe more forethought needs to go into it if you do. The other thing is, for us, it was easy to give up alcohol because we don't drink alcohol. So that was something that I know a lot of people struggled with. And again, tell yourself it's only for 30 days. You can give up anything. You're determined, you have willpower, you can do it. The other tiny challenge, and sometimes bigger for some of us, is the responses of people around us. Family, friends, coworkers, thinking we're going to starve, or what are we doing, or this is not healthy, what have you. Everybody has an opinion on food. Everybody. And they are allowed their opinion. And you are allowed to do whatever the hell you want. So the approach that I took is that, this is something I'm doing for myself and I'd like to feel good about myself and I'm happy with it. This is making me feel good. My number one signal is how my body responds to something. So if my body is happy, I'm doing it. And so be kind. People just care or they're curious, but don't get caught up in proving to them why you're doing Whole30. It's their business. It's not any of your business to educate others. And so don't let it bother you. If you've decided to do it, then do it. Because once you get into it, you want to stick to it. It's very, very important to stick to the rules 100%. As Melissa says, there is no such thing as modified Whole30. And I love that she's so disciplined about it. So if you are doing Whole30, but then you want to have a glass of wine, well, you're not doing Whole30. And that's okay. But you just want to be honest with yourself. As far as, I guess, the work in the kitchen, it was pretty intense. So I don't do the cooking in our household. My husband does. I was helping him a lot. Some of our favorite foods were, salmon, whether it was a smoked salmon for breakfast or baked salmon with vegetables, of course. We liked chicken legs, chicken breast, chicken sausages, turkey burgers, pork, and eggs. You get to eat as many eggs as you like. And we made sure that we get the best source of our meats and fish. So as far as grocery stores go, we went to a number of them for different purposes. Costco's was really good, and if you search online, you can find lots of lists for each grocery store, shopping list. Costco was good for the meats. We liked Trader Joe's. They have really affordable nuts, and we loved making cashew milk. So I used to drink a lot of almond milk, and I believe I was corrected on this. The almond milk in the stores, they are compliant if you read the ingredient list, but there were chemicals in there, right? And we decided, you know what, we're just going to make our own milk. If you make cashew milk in a Vitamix, you don't need to strain it. Almond milk you do, cashew milk for some reason, it disintegrates, so we made cashew milk, we put a date in there because you can't use vanilla extract, and I would drink it with some cinnamon. Delicious. So the grocery stores, so Costco's, Trader Joe's, and your local Harris Teeter or other Whole Foods or what have you for the vegetables. I made a lot of delicious salads. So I used to make some boring salads and I had to expand my horizons. I love kale, but you have to make kale the right way. So I would get kale, I would wash it and cut it, just piece it into relatively good size, and then later I realized if I just throw it in the food processor for just a few seconds on pulse, then it gets really small, and make sure it's dry. Make sure it's not damp when you put it in the food processor. But you put it in the food processor for a few minutes and then you put it in your bowl. You add salt, pepper, and some olive oil, and you massage it with your hands, and then you add the other ingredients to your salad. I started making salads with apples. I usually don't put fruit in my salads, but I decided to experiment. They were delicious. I just decided to get more adventurous with vegetables. We have a local Asian grocery store. It's a very big one called H Mart. So I started to venture into Chinese and Korean vegetables because you want variety. Right? You want to stay excited in the whole 30 days, and vegetables are going to be your best friends. So we explored different vegetables. It was nice to be able to eat potatoes. We didn't overdo it, but we enjoyed Korean potatoes, Yukon potatoes, sweet potatoes, and we would make them in different ways in the oven usually. So, okay, I'm going to refer to my notes. Community support. So I was really excited to find the community support on Facebook. These are the groups I joined, and all of them have been fantastic. Whole30 support, the Dirty Whole30, Keep Calm and Whole30 on, Whole30, Whole Life, Whole Support. And it was really nice to have others, and the community around Whole30 is huge. Maybe if I had found a community around paleo, I would have been as excited. But you just put anything, your frustrations, your questions, your comments, your celebrations, what have you. Oh, and I didn't talk about celebrations. So I lost exactly 0 pounds. 0. My weight didn't change at all. And surprisingly, I'm not discouraged. I'm going to continue. That's the plan. And I'm 5'4". I was 126.5, and I'm still the same. My husband, who has, as I mentioned, lost 100 pounds over the last 10 years, he's gained about, I think, 15 of it back. On Whole30, and he's 5'10", he lost 7.5 pounds. And he didn't feel like he was losing weight. So he was losing it in a very consistent, slow way, which I think is much better for you. And he is so encouraged to keep going. For him, 7 pounds, these are the 7 stubborn pounds, was a big jolt of celebration. So we're excited about that. Now, funny enough, he felt exactly the same on Whole30. I felt wonderful. I felt just really, really healthy and clean. Now, as far as any autoimmune issues or other health issues, luckily we haven't had any. My only issues, which did clear up, were that I had started to have intolerance toward dairy. So I would get certain yogurts and cheeses, and right after eating them, I would get a stomach ache. And of course, I liked them so much, I would just put up with the stomach ache. But I needed to do something about that. And of course, they completely cleared up simply by the elimination of the dairy. But I didn't have any issues. Now, the other thing, and I am going to talk about this, is elimination. And mine became so regular, around clockwork, that I think that's another sign that your digestive system is working really, really well. So that's really exciting. Of course, I wasn't traveling during this time. That always throws it into a little bit of a mayhem. The other thing is my skin. I've always had good skin, but I feel that it cleared up and just feels better, both feels better and looks better. And that is, of course, very exciting. What else? Energy. So my husband was a little bit low on energy. I think I was too at the beginning, and it cleared up. He also didn't have much appetite the first day or two, maybe a little after we started, maybe more like day 3 and 4. And I've read about that. That's not uncommon. It regulated itself. So we would eat without counting calories, of course, and that's another thing I love about Whole30. You don't have to count calories or points like you do on Weight Watchers, so you don't feel this scarcity that you don't have enough food. Now, did I go hungry? I did do something that maybe is not entirely like by the rules, even though it's not non-compliant. I don't like going to bed hungry. So if we had an early dinner, if I would be hungry at say 10 or 11 o'clock, I would either have a glass of cashew milk, homemade, with some cinnamon, or I would have some fruit. So I would have something in my stomach before going to bed. And again, this is up to you, but I decided to do that. It would make me happier. I didn't miss any of my foods that I gave up. And for me, I was crazy about my cheeses and also about my yogurts and my raw honey and my juices, my green juices and green smoothies. So it was a little bit hard to give them up, but I didn't think about it because once you dive in, you just dive in. And I didn't miss them. I didn't crave them. On other diets, I have craved the foods, and so that was good. So here we are at the very end. I'm not even sure I'm gonna add back anything. Now I am adding back green juice. That's not entirely true. I am adding back green juice. It's entirely compliant. It's just not recommended on Whole30. I believe the reason behind it is that they prefer that you eat your food rather than drink it in juice form. But I am adding back some green juices and possibly my raw honey. I am not sure yet. I've heard that your tastes may change to the point where something that was delicious before may not be so now. Another realization we've had is that food tastes better. I mean, we're buying pretty much the same things. We're making similar foods we used to make, but it's just so delicious. I hear myself saying, oh my God, this is so delicious. And maybe it's because your palate is more cleansed and you taste better food, or I'm just so hungry by the time I eat. I don't know, but we're both finding that the foods we're making and maybe the way we're making them is so delicious. So we have been very satiated with the foods we've been eating. So it's really good to know for us that we are not lacking, because if you're on a diet, you feel that way. You feel like something is lacking. On Whole30, you feel whole. Can I say that? Okay, I'm going to refer to my notes real quick. Yep. I don't want this to be terribly long, only 16 minutes. Okay, let me see. The community I talked about, eating the best foods, no weight loss. I'm not discouraged by that. The hardest part for me, I think I talked about this, not eating figs and dates right after a meal, but it's been okay. It's something that I've been able to get over. The other thing is I'm not eating as soon as I'm hungry. So for instance, some of the emotional eating I would do is when the minute I feel hungry, I would need to eat something. And now I realize I'm not going to die. I think Melissa tells us that our body has thousands of stored calories, and I can wait. I can drink a little water and wait till I get home to eat. So psychologically, I feel more in charge. And that really makes you more confident. So I really like that. And you're not letting a little hunger drive your behavior to a place where you may regret it later. All right, let's see. I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that might be it. So I'm sure things are going to come to me as soon as I click this off, but I hope that this was inspiring to you. And if you're going to do something like this, remember, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for others. You're not doing it to prove anything to anyone. If you believe in the philosophy of Whole30, then there is amazing support out there, and it's going to be an interesting experience. The other thing is, don't expect to have the same results as others. So I was reading today some threads on Facebook where some people didn't see their skin clear up, and some people haven't lost weight. Well, I'm one of them. And everyone's going to have a different experience. Where you start is very different from where someone else starts. Your body composition, the history that you've had, the changes you're making, everything. So just document your own experience and go into it with a very positive attitude, and know that no matter what your results at the end of the 30 days, you are doing yourself a huge favor. For now, we are planning to continue. Our only challenge is that we're going on a trip, and it's nice that we were able to stay home, but generally I travel a lot. And that's going to be interesting. We're going to have to do some pre-planning. There are some long flights. We're going to take some snacks, and maybe everything won't be 100% compliant. But I am going into it with a very positive attitude. And as of now, we're going to continue forward. You can go to Whole30, from Whole30 to Whole45, Whole60, Whole90, and some people have been doing it for up to a year. So it's up to you. Just wait and see what happens at the end of the 30 days and you'll know what you want to do. So this was my experience, Farnoosh and I hope that this was helpful to you. Enjoy your Whole30 experience and leave me some comments and let me know whether this was helpful and if you have any questions. Cheers, bye-bye.